I'm a scientist. I think I've always been a scientist. I wanted to be a scientist when I was a kid. So I believe that science can solve most of the problems in today's world. But about 5 years ago, I was watching TV and I saw Extinction Rebellion come on television and say, we've got to get rid of fossil fuels. And I thought, you bunch of ignorant people. If you cut off fossil fuels, you're going to starve half the planet because fossil fuels are important for making our fertiliser. With a bit of a reflection, I thought, as a scientist, I can't really allow people to cut off fossil fuels without finding some solution to this. So I went around looking for potential solutions, and all I came up with was ammonia production. And if you're a farmer, you know that ammonia use is very minor as a fertiliser. No one was making the fertilisers that are required by farmers. So late one night, I was doing what most nerdy scientists do. I was reading a paper that was published in 1922. And I went, this is the solution. This is the solution where we can make fertilisers that are used by farmers. So what is the issue with nitrogen fertiliser production? Firstly, they are all made with fossil fuels. As I said, they feed around about 40% of the world's population, so they are absolutely dependent on these fertilisers. As they are made of commodities and we import them into Australia, they are subject to extreme price volatility. And that ultimately affects our food security in Australia. So what is the dream that every farmer would like to have with the supply of fertiliser? They'd like the price to be stable. They want a fertiliser to be present when they require it in the quantities that they require. They don't want to pay an arm and a leg to get that fertiliser through the farm gate. And they don't want to be blamed for producing greenhouse gas emissions with the use of that fertiliser. So our technology attempts to address all of these issues. We want to de-link fertiliser price from commodity prices. We want to manufacture fertilisers in Australia, and we want to do it on a decentralised basis, so it is close to the farmer. And ultimately, we don't want to use any fossil fuel inputs, so we can cut down the greenhouse gas footprint associated with fertiliser production. So here is the process for producing ammonium phosphate. This is extremely simplified, but it's an extremely complex procedure. It requires extremely high temperatures, 700 degrees, high pressures, around about 150 atmospheres, and a lot of energy. So these production units are massive. They're usually located next to a fossil fuel source. They're not located in Australia. Nitronic's process is simple. It's one step. Basically works at atmospheric pressure or thereabouts and room temperature. It's streamlined, simple, and it can be placed close to where the fertiliser is actually being used. So our process does not use any fossil fuels. It does not require hydrogen generation, which is usually very energy intensive. Operates at low temperatures and pressures, which means that the engineering of these units is significantly easier. We can produce a range of fertilisers. We're not restricted to any one particular fertiliser. We intend to produce modular scalable units that could produce 2 to 5 metric tonnes of fertiliser per day, and you will buy units of those to meet your end requirements. We've done some initial pricing of the end products that we produce and compared them to existing prices for fertiliser. We compare quite favourably with urea and nitrate, and we significantly undercut with phosphate and sulphate. But the main thing we do is we cut out that price volatility associated with fertiliser supply. So our vision is basically to have regional fertiliser hubs to supply local farmers. We would like these hubs to be owned by the community, and we see this as an opportunity to generate jobs and bring back people to the regions. On a national scale, we want to stop fertiliser importation. This will improve our food security in Australia while also reducing the greenhouse gas footprint associated with fertiliser production. We've just started a seed round. We've received a term sheet from a significant agricultural tech investor. We hope to close this round in next month, but I'm happy to talk to anyone about our technology and potential use in your communities. Thank you.